I'm hoping that more folks will join us a little bit later on, but I don't want to wait too much longer. So why don't I'm going to give them one more minute and then go ahead. The good news for them is that if they're not attending, but they registered, and the same thing for any of you, if you need to drop off, you'll receive a recording of the webinar emailed to you after the fact. So if you have to miss some of it, don't worry, you'll get the entire thing emailed to you within a day or two. So. Okay. Well, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get started. And thank you for joining us for MEFA's college planning tool. But before we get started, again, this should range maybe about an hour or so, maybe a little bit over. We booked 90 minutes. It may not go the entire time, or it may. It depends on how long we stay in chat or how much of the tool you want to see. It's a very expansive tool, so I might not hit every nook and cranny of it, but I wanted to give you the general features and see how you could best use it. I think it's a fantastic tool to address how people can start saving, and hopefully you'll see that too. Before I get started, just want to let you know a little bit about MEFA. So MEFA is the Massachusetts Educational Financing Authority. We were created back in 1982 by the Massachusetts State Legislature, and we have a public service mission to help Massachusetts families plan, save, and pay for college, and really not just Massachusetts families. That's who we're created to serve. But anybody can really take advantage of MEFA's services. So we perform those services in a multitude of ways. We offer savings programs, which we'll talk about during this program, with the U Plan and the U Fund, which are the prepaid tuition program and the Massachusetts 529 program. We offer low-cost fixed interest rate loans for families going to college. And we also, a lot of what we do is education, and this is kind of what we're doing tonight. We're looking at a tool that we are proud to present on our site that can help families to figure out how they can start saving and how much college might cost for them and what their strategy should be. But there's also a lot of other tools that you can find on MEFA.org. Anything from blogs that we've written to loan repayment calculators, cost of college calculators, and actually they're all represented. All the things I just said were represented in this tool as well. And we also do, in a normal year, I like to say we give out 500 free seminars throughout the state on a yearly basis on topics like college savings, college financing, college admissions, how to pay for college, and how to compare student loans. This, of course, is not the typical year. So everything that we're offering, that we used to offer in person, we're now offering virtually. So we're very pleased to do that. One of the things that we do, and you may be taking advantage of this already, is offer emails to families that sign up for them based on the age of the child or children that folks are sending to college. So if a family has a 9th grader and an 11th grader, they might get, well, they will get different emails for the 11th grader and the 9th grader. It's all going to be information tailored to the age or grade of the student. So if you haven't signed up for those somehow, you might want to consider doing so after the webinar, although I imagine you probably already have. So before we actually get into the tool itself, I just wanted to reiterate a couple of main points which really kind of brought us here. So the first thing that I always like to talk about with our savings presentation is why you should save. And so the heart and soul of our message, I feel like, is this slide here. So I always include it in everything that we do. So these are myths that we've heard about savings. Number one, my savings will hurt my financial aid. The truth, income is the biggest factor when determining your eligibility for financial aid, not your savings. Your savings will help you when it comes time to pay for college. And this is something that plays a key role in what we're going to be talking about here, trying to factor in how much financial aid you may be eligible for, and how savings can supplement the remaining balance. The other thing that we're dealing explicitly with, and we hear all the time, it's not worth saving for college if I can't save the entire cost. And that's just not true. You know, a lot of people see a gigantic number for college because it's often the really big numbers that are well publicized, and they think there's no way I can save that amount. But a lot of people don't understand as well that very few families will be asked to pay that full sticker price of college. Most families will qualify for at least some level of financial aid, either from the government or from the college, or both. So when you get to that point and you're filing your financial aid forms, you know, and you get a financial aid package, then you know how much college is going to cost for you. And then savings, of course, can help defray the rest of that cost. So this leads in here how families do pay for college. Financial aid is the first one. After that, there's only 3 ways that you can use to pay for college. Past income, meaning savings. Present income, meaning your salary that you're earning at the time. And future income, meaning loans, borrowing. So, you know, most people are not going to use just one of these methods, and it's a good idea to use as many of them as you can. If you're lucky enough to get by on just financial aid, that's great. If you're lucky enough to just be able to get by on savings, that's fantastic. If you're lucky enough to just get by on your salary and being able to pay as you go, fantastic. But it's worth it to do some of those before you get to your future income or your loans. And the reason for that is because people do sometimes, as we know, overborrow. And they borrow for things that they don't necessarily need to borrow for, and they borrow for things that they can't necessarily afford to pay back, and that is the problem. Many families do end up borrowing something. That's not the problem per se. The only real problem are those 2 examples where they borrow unnecessarily and more than they can afford to pay back. So heading right into our tool here, how can I start the plan? And here's where we start to introduce MEFA's college planning tool. And the reason I was so excited when this was offered on our site is, you know, I've been working at MEFA for a long time, talking with customers, specifically with savings, and every so often people would call up and say, I have a newborn, I have, you know, a young child, and I want to save for college. How much do I need to put away for them every month so that they have college paid for when they get there? And of course, that's a very, very difficult question to answer because there are so many variables that you just don't know, right? You don't know where the child is going to go to college. You don't know how much financial aid the child will be eligible for by the time you get there. And you don't know what the market's going to do and what college might cost by the time you get there. So this tool is something that actually helps you to do all 3 of those things. So you can set up a account, a personalized account, and chart your progress and know where you're headed in terms of your ability to save and what you're going to have covered and what you might need to borrow. So let's go ahead and start looking at that. Okay, now this is my account here because I have a 6-year-old, but I'm not going to show you my account. I think what I'll do is that I have a test account with absolutely no information in it that I understand. So I'll go ahead and do that so you can see how you can set up an account. And so here, you want to put your email in and oh, whoa, something went wrong there. Bear with me for one moment. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's where you're going to start to add in your family information and set up your family account. Let's say here, let's give us class Jones name and 1021009, where MEFA's offices are. How fondly I remember them. Okay, so now we go to next, and this is where we can add our children. So let's say first name, let's go with John. John, let's say, is a kindergartner. Yep. And let's say he was born in February. Oh gosh, how old would a kindergartner be? 5, right? So he was born in 2015, let's say. Okay, now we can add another student if we have more than one child. So let's give us another one. And let's say Kristen is a good name. And she's a little bit older, maybe she's in 4th grade. She's born in May, and her birth year 9 years ago, right, was 2011. Okay, now I think that's good. So now we're done setting up our kids. I also want to draw your attention down here to this, which is a chat. So if at any point you're having questions or difficulty with anything, you can click this and talk to someone who can help you. So that's a great tool. See, look at that. That's fantastic. Okay. Now, what we see here are 3 settings. The first is a family level setting, so the Jones family, and we see we're broken down here, students Kristen and John here, and our headings up here are the overview, financial center, which we'll get to in just a moment, calendar, resources, access, and settings. So I'll come back to those in just a moment. And then we can drop down into each child's level account. So we know that Kristen's in the 4th grade. It's going to say, welcome to the 4th grade. John, welcome to kindergarten. So what you might notice here, each child has a passport progress and an affordability bar. So what this means is, and let's go back down to the child's view, that in order to develop a tool that allows families to take the necessary steps in the time that they should be taken, and not more, not less, this tool is going to travel along with you, okay? And so the children will have passports. So Kristen here has her 4th grade passport. And there are certain items on her list as a 4th grader that she needs to complete, check off before completing her passport and then moving on to the 5th grade, right? So welcome to the 4th grade. And let's tell you up here, it's 0% complete. Save, save, save. Don't delay opening a college account. So this year's passport for success. These are the 3 items that Kristen needs to check off and accomplish for her 4th grade passport. So it says here, how much will college cost? Save for college and explore colleges. So action items for this year, if you haven't already, open a college savings account, make monthly college savings contributions if you can, deposit birthday and holiday gifts into your college savings account. These are sort of general things. These are things that don't necessarily have to be completed, but the child should, or the parents really, as this tool really is developed for parents, not really for students to use, but for parents. So parents can go in and say, how much is college going to cost for Kristen? So let's click on that here. And this is a future college cost calculator. So this is going to get a little bit scary at first, but based on Kristen's age of 9 years old and what years she's scheduled to start college, we have sort of estimated, based on the rate of inflation, what different types of colleges will cost at the time. And it's important to note, as I said before, it's very common to see the most expensive private college prices every September on the news. But what you should see here is that there are, of course, different types of colleges, and they each have different levels of tuition and different levels of cost. So they can be broken down into these categories. There's a 4-year public college, so public university in Massachusetts. That would be like the UMass system, or Bridgewater State or Framingham State College. So if you're an in-state resident going to a 4-year public or a public university at all, you would pay a lower tuition rate, a substantially discounted tuition rate. So by the time Kristen is graduating high school, 1 year of college is predicted to cost at an in-state 4-year public $27,375. For an out-of-state 4-year public, so it's a 4-year public institution, but if you're not a resident of that state, you're losing that in-state tuition credit, and you're being charged a higher tuition. So that's slated to be roughly around $47,000 a year. The nonprofit 4 years, so these are the private nonprofits. Think of your, Boston University, Boston College, Harvard, places like that. $64,605 per year. And for public 2-year, your community college is $15,152. And this is using the College Board's cost of attendance. So this is all drawn from Trends in College Pricing, which is a yearly report done by the College Board. So this will break down the costs a bit further here. Oh, excuse me. So it really gives you a lot more information. What does college cost now? So these are the rates now. The percent increase, 2.8, 2.6, 3.2, and 2.3%. That's the averaging rate of increase at the time. What drives the cost of college? Here are some of the factors that will affect the total cost of attendance that you'll pay for Kristen to attend college. So the type of college, private or public, and whether Kristen applies to a public college in your home state. So that's just straight out sticker price before you even get to financial aid. What's going to drive how much college may cost this family. So now you can see here, previous step is you can go back and welcome to the 4th grade. Next step is save for college. So see here, you get this progress circle over here that says you're now 12% complete. Okay, this year's passport to success. Save for college rather than borrow. Saving is an asset, borrowing is a cost. Ways to save for college, understanding 529 plans, choose a 529 plan, and other options to pay for college. And this will give you a sort of a tutorial on saving rather than borrowing. I want to go back up here to the financial center. And this is where families can really put in their economic information, see how much they're saving, see how much they are slated to save, and how much that may be by the time students go to college, and then how much financial aid they may be eligible for. So this is really kind of the biggest, this is the thing that first got me excited about this tool. This is the one that can really answer the question for people, how much do I need to save in order to pay for college? Within reason. I mean, you're never going to get it 100% locked in. This is how I know. But let's say we're saving here, and we're back at the Jones family level. So account name, this will be Kristen's 529. Our current balance, let's say we've done a good job starting this so far. She's 9 years old. Let's say she's got $5,000 in her balance. Our monthly contribution is now $100 a month. And here, this is really interesting. It's not just what you save, but if you're saving particularly in an investment vehicle like a 529 plan, which is invested in the market, that's going to provide some extra value by providing some return on investment. Now, as we know, that's going to vary, especially if it's invested in the market. So, we have all sorts of language, as MEFA is a 529 plan provider. Fidelity Investments handles the MEFA U Fund, which is the Massachusetts 529, and they seem to feel that over a 10-year term, around 6 or 7% is an accurate return on investment. But that's not always the case. And here, this actually allows you to make changes, which I think is great. You can do 3%, 4%. So when the market isn't doing as well, you can sort of make adjustments for that. But let's keep it at 6%. And Kristen's our beneficiary. Let's add this account. Okay, now let's add another account. We've got John's account. John's 529. John's a little younger, so let's say he's got 2,000 in his 529, and we're also putting in 100. And this is John's, and we're adding that account. So you'll see here when you added all that together, these three options popped up at the bottom: increase savings, find scholarships, and find more affordable colleges. The reason for that, we should get to that in a moment. So under the college cost tab, we're going to put in our adjusted gross income. Why you want to do this is going to assess your eligibility for need-based financial aid. So we talked a little bit about the sticker price of college and how much tuition may be, but that there's financial aid available and that you won't know in a lot of circumstances, a lot of people won't know how much college will actually end up costing for them until they file their financial aid forms and get a financial aid package and see what they got from the college, and then they have a balance due. So what this does is give you some idea of what you might be eligible for at that time, so you can really have a target in mind as far as savings is concerned. So let's say our adjusted gross income, just to make it easy, it's $100,000. College cost of inflation, we're going to say 3%. We're going to calculate our expected family contribution. And what that expected family contribution is it determines how much aid you're eligible for. Student independent now. Let's say that's 4 people in our household, and there's going to be 1 child in college at each time because their ages are not close enough. Now this is going to take us through an expected family contribution calculator. And I'm going to put in a bunch of fake data here. So 41, adjusted gross income is 100,000. Income tax paid, I don't know, let's say 10,000. Parent 1 income is 70,000. Whoops. Parent 2 is 30,000. Oops. Keep hitting the dollar symbol. No untaxed income. So you can see here it's updating as we're putting in information. So right now it looks as though our expected family contribution is going to be about $13,343. Cash and investments, let's say, well, we know we have at least $7,000 so in our 529. So let's say we have a little bit more than that though. Let's say we have about 15,000. Okay. Now, students is going to ask all the same information of the student, and we're going to just zero this out because the student does not have anything. Okay, so your expected family contribution is $13,619. That's how much your family is expected to pay towards college. Now, that isn't typically what families end up paying. That's at least what they end up paying. But a low expected family contribution means that they're eligible for more financial aid. Now, we have to select colleges. So we could say, oh, Massachusetts 4-year in-state for Kristen, and let's say for John, a national private 4-year. So I want to actually look at that for just a minute, right? These are the different choices. Now you can put specific colleges in here, and we'll do that in a minute. But if you don't know, like, you know, nobody really knows where their child's going to go to college when they're 5 and 9. But to get an idea, we have different types. So a Massachusetts public 4-year in-state, a national public 4-year in-state, a national public 4-year out-of-state, a national private nonprofit 4-year, a Massachusetts public 2-year in-state, a national public 2-year in-state. The reason is that, you know, colleges in Massachusetts, public colleges, may cost one thing, and nationally may be something else. National trends for public and private colleges tend to be slightly less expensive than they do, unfortunately, for Massachusetts public and private colleges. So that's why you can kind of sort them that way. But let's just say a Massachusetts public private and a national private nonprofit. So at this point, given how much money we're making and how much we have in savings for our family and how much we're saving in a 529, it's going to give us some key indicators here of how much this is going to cost us. You know, let's do one child at a time. I think that might be, we can delete that. Well, we can do it this way. So the cost is going to be $402,883 of college. Students are eligible for $161,771 in gift aid, and we're scheduled to save on our current trajectory $47,287. That means we have a shortfall of $193,825. So this is what college may be likely to cost us at that time for these two folks. What financial aid we may be eligible to receive, what we'll have saved, and what we're going to be looking at as a deficit. So based on this, we need to either, you see here we have an affordability rating. The affordability indicator compares the student's projected salary based on the major selected with the total debt. Favorable, thumbs up, your projected salary is greater than or equal to your projected student debt. Unfavorable, thumbs down, your projected salary is less than your projected student debt. So here we can scroll down a little bit, see a little bit more. See, we have an undecided area of study, so maybe that factors into things. Projected salary is $50,670. For Kristen, it looks like her cost is going to be $155,932. She's eligible for this much gift aid, $52,287. So she's got about $100,000 left to pay. She's scheduled to save about $21,167, and she's looking to finance somehow $82,000. So she's looking to either pay that in some other way, borrow. Maybe you can increase savings or look at more affordable colleges. For John, probably, I'm guessing, a little bit starker since he's a little bit younger and is planning on attending a private nonprofit 4-year college. So those tend to be a little more expensive, of course. Cost $246,951. Again, this is for 4 years. Eligible to receive about $110,000 in gift aid. Going to have about $26,000 in savings, so his shortfall's $111,347. Again, undecided area of study, $57,030 is his projected salary. Projected debt is this amount, right? $111,347. So, especially if you're parents, now students can borrow some money on their own, and that's part of financial aid. But not close to this amount. Right now, students can borrow in federal direct student loans in their own name about $27,000. which means if you're going to be financing the rest, that's going to be on the parent to be a co-applicant. Okay, so that is something that you want to take a look at. Oh, I erased our field here. Okay, well, here we are. Projected salary 50,670, projected debt 82,478. So Kristen's total salary is less than the projected debt. So if we go back to our family here, we see we have some choices to make. So here's what we can do. These are our tips to close the shortfall, because we got quite a shortfall. We can increase our savings. And this is how we do this. And now, since we're in Kristen's 529 here, we have all of her information here. Name's Kristen, grade 4. She's looking to attend a Mass Public 4-year in-state. Just for fun, let's change that now. Let's say she wants to go to a specific college. Let's say she wants to go to Boston College. We can add that. Yep, there we go. Okay. It's going to break down expenses, books, housing, all the things that are not necessarily going to show up on a bill. Housing might, but expenses and books might not, but is going to be part of that overall cost of attendance. So what this is going to do here is say Boston College, in the year that Kristen is going to be attending there, is slated to cost for 4 years $382,036. If your goal is to save 44% of this future college cost, this is how much you'd have to save: $168,096. Now you can change this just you can change your goal, that is, by just doing this. But 160, let's just keep it here for now. And in our current plan, let's say we have $5,000 for Kristen. We have $100 a month that we're contributing, and we're anticipating a rate of return for 6%. Now, our future college savings versus our savings goal, our savings at the time she gets to college are slated to be about $20,961. Remember, for 44%, it's got to be $168,096. So to meet that goal, we would have to contribute $1,253 a month, or make a one-time $89,800 deposit. That would be nice, wouldn't it, if we were able to do that? But let's see what happens when we actually do that, and because it'll show here. This is our projected cash flow. These are each of the 4 years for Kristen's college. So 2028, 9, 30, and 31. This green amount here shows the amount that you have to finance. And this blue amount is the savings. And this amount is the savings shortfall. So if we were able to, let's say, do 50% of future college cost. Or, okay. See, we can sort of mess with the savings goal here. Oh, we need to change this here. I'm sorry. So let's do 50%, and let's say, we're still doing $100 a month, but let's say we have 75,000 or maybe 70,000 here. Yeah, so now we have half funded for freshman year, half funded for sophomore year, almost half funded for junior year, and not so much left for senior year. Or what we could do, if we're not in a position to dramatically increase our savings, we can go to a different college. So let's say UMass, whoops, Boston. Now, we're going back here, taking this out, having our 5,000, and we're hoping to have 50% of the future college cost. See, tuition is only slated to cost for 4 years $147,238. We're projected to have 20,961 of our 73,619 goal. So we need to bump that up a little bit more. Let's say we can somehow start contributing $500 a month. Well, that's just about going to get us there. So we'd either need to contribute $513 a month, or make a $965 one-time deposit and continue to contribute $500 a month to reach our goal fully. But even if we're not able to do that in this example, we're very, very close. So this will give you some idea of the different options that you have available to you, whether it's increasing your savings, choosing less expensive colleges, and you can do this for John as well. And also you'll notice up here, print report. I love this feature. So you can download this, take a look at it. Look at that family overview. It's going to give you your projected cash flow. This is for both students here and what you'll have. Summary for Kristen, the savings goal for Kristen is $73,619, which you can change. But it's going to give you a really detailed breakdown of the picture here for Kristen and for John. So you'll know where you are. You'll have an idea of how much college is likely to cost you at a particular school or a particular type of school, how much you want to have saved, how much aid you're likely to receive, and how close you are to meeting your goal and any sort of changes that you may need to make along the way. So it's a hugely comprehensive and robust tool, and I use it myself. As I said, I have a 6-year-old, and every so often I take a look at it. So I don't do it very often, and there's a lot here, and honestly, you can spend a lot of time on here, or you can spend a little time on here. Either one of them is really going to benefit you. And of course, as the kids get older, you're going to start to use different things on there more. So let's go back to the kids, because there is something that I want to show you. And here we are here with our financial center again. And this is for Kristen's Massachusetts public 4-year in-state. Again, her projected salary, her projected debt, her costs, the different types of colleges. You know, she's highlighted this one here, but want to keep her apprised of all of her different options as well. And she can pick an area of study. So let's say if she picks something I think of as high salary, engineering. So her projected salary goes up a bit, $63,338. Still getting the thumbs down, but you know, students or family or parents can really compare different types of salaries and the earning power and how much they're comfortable financing through loans to meet those costs. But the thing I really wanted to show you is this, and this is the college search. So when kids get a little bit older, or parents, you know, if you're interested to do this now with your kids, maybe you can start looking at colleges, do some college searches. So we've already said Boston College. Let's do that again. Boston College. Oop. And we're right here. Okay. And we can save. Now let's say also Kristen is interested in going to Massachusetts College of Art. I'm gonna save that too. And let's say Tufts, get a nice good list going here. Oh, why not? Kristen likes art too. And give a good one. Let's do UMass Boston again. Or you can sort by nursing schools, for example, anywhere. Well, let's say, yeah, why not? Kentucky. Say we have an aunt in Kentucky she's always liked, so. Sierra College is found. Maybe I'll pick Massachusetts. Okay. I'll see if we can do more than one school as well. Should be just coming up with anything. There we go. Okay. Selectivity, most selective, very selective, moderately selective, tuition, price, any setting, urban, suburban, small town. You can really do a good search for different types of schools here. Let's see. Oh, I know, because I've got UMass Boston up there. So we'll go back to Massachusetts, and we'll do. Well, let's see. Let's do any field of study, and let's do. Oh boy, natural resources. Why am I picking these obscure fields of study? Let's do nursing. Well, that makes sense finally. Okay, and we'll be able to sort of view all the schools that meet that criteria. And you notice here we have Curry College, for example, net price, whether the affordability is favorable or unfavorable, what the acceptance rate is, and you can show details here. It's a private college, 4-year suburban setting, total cost, the average ACT composite scores or the SAT scores for admitted students, female to male ratio, student to faculty ratio, how well does the college do retaining their students and graduating them. So there's a lot of information on each particular college. So there's a lot for students to be, or parents in fact, to be able to go through and take a look at. Now, if I could just get up here. So that's what we searched, and this is how we've saved, right? So we have these colleges that we've saved that Kristen is interested in. If we kind of go back to, let's see if we go back to our financial center. For Kristen, we'll have all of these schools reflected there. So if we click on that, we'll be able to compare those. Now, when students get to about high school age, they'll be able to start applying for scholarships. And so you'll be able to do a scholarship search. We always recommend that people search for outside scholarships. Local scholarships, they should talk to their high school guidance counselors. For national scholarships, they should do a scholarship search engine like this one. We should always say that people should never pay to do a scholarship search. And this one, again, is very typical of the ones that we direct folks towards. Of course, it's on the MEFA site, but you can sort of filter scholarship applications by various factors. So required residency. So let's say scholarships for folks in Massachusetts. And sort by, I don't know, religion, let's say, Buddhist faith. I wonder if there are any Buddhist scholarships. Yeah, it comes up with all sorts of things that are either for the intended group or not excluding that particular group. So all these opportunities to apply for scholarships. Also for students, you have a calendar. So what are the upcoming deadlines that you want to be aware of based on what you put in? So we know that Kristen is interested in these particular colleges, so she might want to know that Boston College early application deadlines are November 1st, same as Tufte University early application deadlines. And then so on. And, you know, application deadlines, financial aid deadlines, etc. So a great tool. One of the things that we are always careful to say to students is to not miss any deadlines, and that, you know, it's a great idea to have all of your deadlines, all of your colleges on a list so that you know what each college needs and that you don't miss that deadline. And here's a great place for you to be able to do that. And then finally here, there are resources. So resources, the ones that might be familiar to you, MEFA Pathway. MEFA Pathway is a great site, sort of a companion site to this site in a way, where this particular college planning tool is, I'm gonna say it's probably primarily geared towards parents and sort of allowing parents to financially prepare for sending their kids to college. MEFA Pathway is more of a student tool, and students can start to use that in their middle school and start to do some of the things that you can do here, like college searches and save college searches, but they can also do aptitude tests and interests and quizzes and just sort of find out what they might want to do with their lives and might want to go to college to study. MEFA, and then when they get to high school, they can start to apply for scholarships just so they can do in here, but they can also keep track of their letters of recommendation and their searches and their build a resume and apply to colleges. Now, of course, we have the U Fund and the U Plan, which are two savings options that MEFA offers. So if you're going to be using this tool to help you plan to save for college, here's a couple of links that lead you directly to our college savings vehicles. And then here we have MEFA content that you can link to. So some information on applying to college on the MEFA site that you can go and read up on. One of the many aspects of the college process that we've written on, learn how to apply for financial aid, and also our blog that we're constantly publishing week after week on any topics of relevance to you or to anybody that's financing college. I want to sort of close out just a minute here talking about really briefly on these separate tools and calculators, which I really like. One of them we saw already, which is this EFC calculator. So we saw that, so I don't want to go through that again, but you saw it took about a minute to do. And what it is it helps you to determine how much financial aid you may be eligible for. So one really important one is a loan repayment calculator. Now this becomes very important the older a child gets, because if you have a balance that you have to finance for college, as I said, the students can borrow some on their own, but not more than about $27,000 for 4 years. So if you're looking to finance more than that, and you have to borrow to meet some of that financing, most students just cannot be approved for a loan without a co-applicant, because loans need to be approved based on credit and income. So they need a co-applicant to do that. Now, typically a co-applicant is a parent, although it doesn't always necessarily have to be. But if you are a parent and you are planning on being a co-applicant for a loan, you want to know how much that monthly payment is going to be after a student is finished college. So here's where you can put in sort of a loan amount. And here I've said $10,000. Let's say our interest rate. This year it's very low, but let's say it's 5%. and our loan repayment term is 10 years, which is pretty typical. And let's say 4 years until graduation as an incoming freshman. Your estimated monthly loan payment is $129 a month. Over 10 years, you're likely to pay $5,538 in interest on that loan. And your total payments are set to be $15,538 over the course of the loan. So you're paying off $10,000 principal, $5,538 in interest. That's if you're paying sort of what's owed, no more, no less, every month. So here, it'll give you a loan affordability. So what's your estimated annual salary needed to make the $129 a month monthly payment manageable? And your salary should be somewhere around here, $12,948 to $19,423 per year. Okay, so that's 1 year. But if we figure that we're doing 4 years, maybe we're really looking at something like $40,000 borrowed over 10 years. And that estimated monthly payment is going to be $517 a month. And your salary needed to make that loan repayment more affordable is substantially higher. Now, if you choose, now there are two main types of loans that you may get to pay for college, and those are loans that begin repayment while the student is in college, and then loans that are deferred until after the student leaves college. So if you are planning on making payments, whether it's principal and interest or otherwise, just interest payments while the student is in college, then you're likely to pay less over the long run. And the reason for that is if you've got a deferred loan, unless it's a federal subsidized loan, if it's any kind of private loan, there's going to be interest accruing on that amount while the loan is in deferment. So if you borrow $10,000 the freshman year, you're not making payments until after the student graduates, there's interest being added to that loan while the student is in college and not making payments. You can choose to pay the interest on that loan if you like. So if you say, yes, I will pay the interest on that loan, it's a really cool thing here. You can click that, and this is by paying interest while in school, you could save $242. Estimated monthly payment going from $517 monthly to $424 every month. And your total interest paid going from $22,000 down to $10,911. So you're paying your principal of $40,000 plus the interest of $10,911 to bring you to $50,911. So the reason for that is because most loans, all the interest that accrues while the loan is in deferment gets capitalized. At least I know it works this way with the MEFA loans. Gets capitalized and added to the principal when the loan starts to go into repayment. So you're paying interest now on that larger principal amount, so it's going to mean more interest over the long run. So, but if you pay that while the student's in college and you just start paying the principal after the student leaves college, there's not any extra interest that's been added to that, so it's going to save you a lot of money. I should also point out that I don't know of any educational loans that have any prepayment penalties. So you can pay instead of just paying the interest while the student is in college and there's no payments due, you can also pay the principal if you're able to do that. Most loan, I think every loan pretty much works the way the MEFA loan does, where any payment received first goes against whatever interest has been accrued, and then whatever's left goes against the principal. So for deferred loans, don't have to make any payments while the student is in deferment. If you can make payments, it's a good thing to do. If you can pay the interest, that's great. If you can pay the interest and principal, it's even better. Now I want to go back to resources really quick. Savings calculator. Just key to what we're doing. Oh, we saw this already. Yeah, this is our college savings estimator. And this is a really interesting one. So we have a, well, I'll get to that in a minute. We have a 529 college comparison tool. So if we want to get started, we can compare 529s. Where do you live? We live in Massachusetts. Years until college, let's say it's a long time. It's 13 years. Well, we've got, this is for John. Oops, 100. Oh boy, okay. Okay, so here we go. We get to contrast and compare all of our programs here. So Massachusetts U Fund. Well, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be comparing. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but and I don't want to throw a negative spotlight on anybody. But rest assured, you can compare, and it'll make comparisons on these principles. So total contribution, projected savings, requires state residency if there are tax deductions associated. So sometimes, as in the case of Massachusetts, you can deduct part of your contribution on your state income taxes. If anybody offers any contribution matching. So, you know, this is a tool that you can use to compare 529 plans, but I'm a little gun shy now. I don't want to do it. The one I wanted to show you was the cost of delaying savings tool. So we always say that the most important thing that you do is just start. You don't have to start with anything. For the U Fund, I know that there's no minimum to get started, but let's just say, again, won't be controversial here. We'll say we're in Massachusetts and it's 12 years until college and we're looking for a national public 4-year in-state. Our current savings is, once again, was at 2,000. Okay. And we want to be able to save 44% of the cost of college. So this is our target. So if we start saving now, with $2,000 currently saved and a 6% rate of return, you must save $299 per month to meet your goal of $66,009. So we'll have to up that a little bit to $299. If we delayed a year in starting saving, then what we'd have to put in is $337 a month. If we delayed 5 years in doing so, we'd have to put away $604 every month. It's kind of like retirement savings and the fact that, you know, people always say it's so hard to make up for lost time. So the earlier you start, the better. Use time to your advantage. And like I said, the best thing that you can do is just start. I'm always happy to tell people that Fidelity is available 24 hours a day with any questions that, you know, if you're setting up an account and you have questions about investment, they're able to help you. I always tell the story of the first time I opened a 529 account. I did so on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, and I was able to call someone at Fidelity, and they were able to walk me through my investment options, and they were very helpful. So, you know, if you have a minute and you know you feel like you can't do it because you don't have all this stuff figured out already, you don't need to have all this stuff figured out already. Just starting saving something is the best thing that you can do. Finally, I want to point this out here, your family settings. So we have here the Jones family, their zip code. Here are our students, Kristen and John. You can get email notifications sent to you on an ongoing basis. Delete the Jones family, but one second, you can also extend access to other folks here. So let's update this. Oh, whoops. Family settings have been updated. Why is this not working out? Well, typically, and I'm sorry, I was able to do this earlier when going through it, you can sort of if dad is the designated user here, something on the form, you can set it up so that someone else has access to. Oh, I'm sorry. Here it is. Access. I apologize. I'm in the wrong section. So access. Yeah, recipient's email. So this will be my email, but you can set up somebody else's. So if you wanted to add student to have access, an advisor or a relative, and then sort of what they can have access to. So they can manage the family account. So mom can make changes if dad is usually the one to do it. You can have full access to the family, so you can't make changes, but you can view, and then access to students. So maybe somebody can have access to Kristen, somebody can have access to John. And so click the invite and it'll send an invitation via email to someone. They accept the invitation. As you see here, there's no pending invitations. I want to just go back really quickly to the Family Financial Center so we can see for Kristen here, we have UMass Boston now, Massachusetts College of Art and Design, Tufts University, School of the Museum and Fine Arts at Tufts University. All the colleges that we've saved, we can now update her information with. I don't know if you caught that. Or we can just go, you know, we can, so you can do that. You can find more affordable colleges, find scholarships, or increase your savings. But it's really a great tool to be able to project how much aid you're going to be eligible for, what college might cost for you, what your savings goals should be, and then also if there's a shortfall, how you can meet that shortfall. So
now, John, we do have a question.
Yes.
He's like, so, and this is a forward-thinking person thinking about
Okay.
on the other end when using 529 savings, and I hope I get the question right, but this particular saver seems to be doing a really good job, is saving a good amount each month, and is wondering on the other end, when you go to use your savings, is there a specific way to, how do you divide your savings over the 4 years of college? So I thought you could comment on that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's a question we hear a lot. And when we always say we're not advisors in that sense, but you can do it how you feel comfortable doing it, right? So if you want to make sure, if you have 4 years saved, fantastic. If you have a bulk amount saved but not enough for the 4 years, I think it really kind of depends, and I'm going to hedge, and I'm sorry for that, but it really kind of depends on what things are like at the time. So the reason I say that is somebody asked me this year when loan rates were really sort of historically low this upcoming year due to the sort of market conditions and everything that's going on. In most other years, I would start the same way and say, you do whatever you want. We're not advisors in that sense. But if it were me, I would think, and again, I haven't gotten there yet, that if you're borrowing a loan your freshman year, and especially if it's a deferred loan, it's going to be accruing interest, or you're going to gain the most interest on that loan. So I might front load it myself, and instead of meeting it out over 4 years. That doesn't mean you have to do that. But this year, where people are saying, well, the market really wasn't getting a great return, and the loan interest rates are so low, maybe it would be worth it if I borrowed the freshman year, and then when the market came back, use the 529 funds to pay for the later years, or pay some of the loans that you can do now. So it really depends, I think, on what the circumstances are in the economy at the time. But I have my own sort of personal view of it, but this year things might be, it would have complicated that a bit, if that makes any sense.
That's great, John. Thank you.
Yeah. So are there any other questions? Or I think I can go, oops.
No, I don't really.
Okay, so in that case,
If you want to ask right now would be the time you can type right into the question area.
yeah, and so if you don't, just to sort of wrap up, saving for college next steps, anything that you can do, sign up for the MEFA email, sign up, create an account on the college planning tool. Follow us on social media. So here's our Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Any questions you have, please give us a call. There's a team of dedicated experts to answer any questions that you may have. That's our email address, collegeplanning@mefa.org. If you like the webinar, you can please give us a good Google review rating. I wonder if it might be worth it to show where folks can actually get to the tools from the site. If we're able to do so. Someone tells me I'm going to have a hard time getting there, but once you go to mefa.org, you'll see a couple of tabs, and one of them is Plan for College. And you click on that tab, and then it'll give you a list of grades or ages, really. It'll say elementary school, or et cetera. Go to the earliest one. Yeah, can't get to the site for some reason. Go to the earliest one, and it'll have a link to the college planning tool on it. But otherwise, that's kind of it for me. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be here, and if not, thank you for your time and your attention.
Oh, you know what? There is another question. One more,
Okay.
at least as I'm going through. Do many people use both prepaid tuition plans and 529 plans?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. Yes, they do. And it's a good thing to do. I know of a lot of people who have done both. The reason it's a good thing to do, they both have different strengths. So particularly for the prepaid tuition plan, if you go to a college that's a participating college, and that is a college in Massachusetts that is participating, you lock in tuition at the rate of the year that you put in. So the return on investment in that can be quite high from a tuition and fee standpoint. However, there are other costs associated like room and board, books, supplies, equipment that are not covered by prepaid tuition plans, but can be used. 529 plans can be used to pay for those. So yes, you can definitely do that. And 529 plans as well can be used in any accredited school in the country or some foreign institutions as well. So they're much more widely accepted. And then if you don't end up using the prepaid tuition plan, you can always cash out and get what you put in plus the interest at no penalty. So yeah, it's definitely a good idea to do that.
That's great. And then just a lot of thank yous, John. Great.
Oh,
great information.
Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Everybody have a good night.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Julie.
Bye. Thank you, John. Bye.